All right. So we have a project we are working on, or let me call it a task. We have a task we've been working on, and it is a sales performance report for a particular organization, right? And then beyond here is the data, here's the data set, right? We have done some job on this data set before we get to this point that we are at the moment. We have tried to clean the data. We identified that the data is dirty to a good extent, and then we have tried to clean it. And then I can always say that if the data is not clean, don't dare go to the pivot table. Don't go ahead to analyze it, right? So because we have done all of that, so we have taken the the data set to the to the pivot table for analysis. And then from the pivot table, we have gotten so many insights, right? We've seen this total sum of we've seen the total sum revenue and the total revenue generated, in that business. We've seen the total number of items sold. We've seen them here. We've seen and each salesperson and their performances in terms of revenue, what they are bringing to us. And out of that list, we have also seen the ones that are performing the best, right? We've seen the top five, best employee, best salesperson that we have in our organization. We've seen it, right? And then we've seen what we make in each month also, right? We've seen what we make in January, we've seen what we made in February, and every other thing related to it. At the same time, um we've also seen the revenue generated per month in each region. This is the total revenue generated, right? But then we have gone ahead to split it into region. Out of this 134,000 that we made in January, how much comes from northeast? How much comes from northwest? How much comes from southwest? So we've looked into that also. We've also looked into, okay, we're trying to look into something in here and we didn't finish it. So now, before we go ahead, right, it's very good to establish that the from the data set we have, the insights you can get are so many. We can only restrict it to what we intend to get at this time, right? And that's why we're working with all of this. The insight you can get from that data set is many, right? Ours is just to get the data set, work with it, and then our organization on what they want to see. You understand? Obviously, if you have been working with them also, and we need to want to tender report, we have an idea of what to place in that report. Are they interested in seeing? All right. Are they interested in seeing and the total sum generated? Of course. Are they interested to see how many customer this we sell to, which is not even captured here, right? How many customer? There's no comparison that includes customer here. So we can talk about how many customer we sell to. Maybe with this one we can quickly look at how many customer we sold to in each year. We have selected the year and we can come here to select the customer here, right? And then now we have selected the customer and we can see that customer comes to under row. But then what we are interested in seeing is to count the number of customer, right? So if it is counted, we are talking about value, number. So we can drag the row down to value, right? By default, it comes to row, so we can now drag it to value. And then we can see it now, it has changed to count of customer. And we can see that in 2010, the total number of customers that we have that we sold to is 459. And in 2011, the total number of customers we sold to is 450, right? Of course, there's going to be a question from the sales perspective because every organization wants to increase the number of customer base. They want to increase the number of revenue. They want to increase the sum of profits and all of that. And if this is what we are having, right, as a report, right, it's going to raise the question. 9 customer left us within okay. It's not totally 9, right? We actually sold to 5 customers, but some repeat itself, right? And that's why we have 459 and 490. So what we want to do is to make it a distinct figure, right? So let's go to value field and see how we can make it distinct. Do we have distinct count of numbers? Okay. Distinct is not here, right? Distinct is not here. So to actually make distinct, because already we have seen somewhere that there are, is it 5 customers, right? There are 5 customers. That is uh who are the customers? There is A and S store. We have I think Mr. Biggs is there. We have um you can remind me. I don't want to go to that data set to remember. We have Mr. Biggs is there. A and S
KFC.
store. We have
KFC.
KFC. Thank you. We have KFC. We have, it remains 2. We have ShopRite.
Yes.
And
Right.
we
And we
have
have
one more.
Spa.
And we have Spa. Yes. So there are just 5 customers. We are having this number because by Asa sold, you can move. By Asa sold to KFC. That same by Asa sold. Sorry, by Asa sold to KFC, and we have another guy who also sells to KFC. So KFC would have occurred multiple times. So that's why we have this number of this number. We have, it looks like we have that should be about 909 customers. No, there are just 5 customers. So if you actually want to know the actual number of customers, so what we need to do is count distance. Count distance, right? Or okay, count distance is not in Excel. Count distance is in Power BI. So what we'll do in the case of Excel is to go back to the data set. I think I've done it before. Did I do it? I think I did it in the last class. I just did it roughly. Where's our pivot table? Okay. So I think, okay, I didn't do it. So it's just to come here and say unique, right? Unique. I'll use a unique function. I think I showed it in the last class. Unique function, and I'm going to select this area for customer. So it's going to bring out all the customer, right? So these are the customer. So I can now copy this list, right? Copy this list like that, because if I had to copy everything, it will be more. So I can now copy only this one that has five customer and take it to the pivot table. So to be easier, it will be easier that way, right? Or better still, I can also just copy the pivot table in another place, maybe this. Sorry, copy the pivot table in another place. Let's say I copy like this and I paste it here. You know how we used to do it, and uncheck and uncheck and uncheck here, so that I will have only the customer, and I'll take it away from here and bring it on row. So these are the number of customers. So it's already showing me the number of customers. And then I can now, if I bring the year to it now, I think I should have, if I bring the year to it, right? Okay. So in this way, how will I bring this thing to it, right? I'm comparing it with year. I'm comparing it with here. So what I will do is to come back to the sheet. Sorry, I can't hear you. Okay. What I will do is, okay, yes, I can do a filter, but then if I do a filter label, filter will not actually give it to me, right? But then this is what I will do, right? I'll come back to the data set. Where's the data set? I don't need this sheet one. Delete. Right, I'll come to the data set. Sorry, I'm not seeing the dashboard.
You deleted the dashboard instead of the sheet.
Oh, I deleted the dashboard. Sorry.
Yes.
All right, let me. Okay, I've not saved it. Let me quickly do this. I'm coming to bring it back. Don't save, and let me quickly go back to bring it again. Okay. All right. So I think it's better now. So I was saying that I will go back to the data set, maybe pivot table, right? Then draw a new table, or copy this fresh from there, copy this column, then copy it with the year, or better still, I'll first of all draw out year out of it. You know, this is a date. Date comprises of so many things, so I can draw out the year from it like this, and remove the year from the date. You know, is it there?
You are not
The date
sharing your screen.
Oh, sorry. All right. All right. Is it showing? Please confirm if it's showing.
Yes, it's showing now.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So I can then bring out the year from this date. I can use the year function to bring it out, right? And it's going to ask me what's the serial number. This is the serial number, right? And then I have the year, right, from the date. So I can let it go down. Now I'll copy the customer, right, and then the year together, copy it and take it to the pivot table, right? Take it to the pivot table. Yes, let's go and use a fresh, okay. Let's put it here, right? Let's put it here and let's paste it. You can't paste this here because the copy here aren't in the same size. Is there anything under here? We didn't have anything under. Okay, so it's still selected.
I think it's because it's not arrowed down on that test.
Select the answer in the paste area or in the area that's the same size. Okay, better still. I paste it this way. All right. Okay, it has been pasted. So now that I've pasted it, now the intention is to cut out, you know, the names that are appearing twice, just like we have ShopRite is here and ShopRite is here. So one of the things we can do here is to go and remove duplicates, right? I mean, it is because it is duplicated, that's why we have it that way, right? So we'll go and remove duplicates. And to do that, right, remove duplicate should be under data tab. And then what we have here, yes, remove duplicate. Under data tab, then I identify data 2. And then the same way where we used to have data validation up it, or where we used to have text to column wizard. Yes, there is data, there is remove duplicate there. And once I just click in there, yes, I'm removing the duplicate on both of them. And I'm just going to say, okay, right? So that number is cut away from it. Then I have all these guys to appear once, right? Even some are still appearing twice. A and S store. Which one is appearing twice? A and S store is appearing twice. So this is appearing twice. Why? Okay, yes, it's appearing once because
one is 210,
one is
211.
Yes. All right, so now we can now pick this, right, and take only this one into the pivot table, right? We'll create a new pivot table just for that, right? And this time around, please don't take the pivot table to a new worksheet. Let's use the existing worksheet because we still want to keep it on this worksheet. And it will now ask us where is the location, right? So we can just put it beside it, right? We select this location and say okay, right? So we have that pivot, but then you can see the pivot table will only be showing these two parameters for this one. You understand? And then we can now know how many customers we sell to, right? Obviously, we can see because the data set is not large again. You can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we sold to the 5 customer in 2010, and we sold to the 5 customer in 2011. So we just want to see it here, right? I can check in I can check in the customer, the year first, right? And then check in customer, right? And then, of course, it's summing the year. I'm not interested in seeing the sum of the year. So I'm going to, because year looks like number, is a value. So it's coming under value by default. So I'm going to drag it back to this place. Let's have it here. And let's bring this in here, right? So now I have it. So we sold to 5 customers in 2010 and 5 customers in 2011, right? I hope that I didn't have intention of doing that. The question just led me to that. So I hope that simple one like this just is clear, right? All right. So let's go ahead to please, any question on that? Nobody's saying anything. So let's go straight to the dashboard and complete it so that we can have time to do one more dashboard, right? And then move on with the class. Where's my dashboard? This is it. All right. So from the insights we are trying to get. So usually from what I was saying, there will be specific things we are trying, there will be specific things we are trying to get insight to from the data set that is given to us, because the data set can actually do a lot, right? A lot. So there will be the questions that we are trying to solve. Maybe we feel that the sales are not doing well, and we need to get their performance, check their performance, the performance of the salesperson to the revenue generated, check it to the sales, or check it to the region, as the case is with the data set we are working with, right? So there will be a list of questions we intend to answer that will begin to answer. Don't forget that we talked about types of analysis. If you remember from the beginning, and we talked about diagnostic and descriptive analysis, right? So these are actually what descriptive. We are using the data available to check into what is happening. So we use it to diagnose, to know what is happening, and descriptive to know why what has happened, or to know why what is happening to happen. So those are descriptive. And then this side of analysis that we are doing, right, they focus more on descriptive and diagnostic analysis. All right. So the next question that I want to, the next insight that I want to bring to this dashboard is the top 5%, right? Don't forget that I've drawn a blueprint for my dashboard, how I want it to look at the end of the day, right? And then I have created the insight somewhere here, right? So I'm going to analyze this now, take it to a chart, right? And then I can always tell Excel to recommend a chart for me, right? And if I tell it to recommend this chart, you can see that it's already recommending a column chart for me. If I'm good with it, I'm going to use it. If I'm not good with it, I'm going to look for another thing to use. But I intend to use a bar chart for this, right? So you can see that a bar chart is actually different from column chart. Usually, what we are used to is to call this one a bar chart. And we are saying now that what we used to call a bar chart before is not a bar chart. It is actually a column chart, right? A bar chart is from left, is horizontal, right? A column chart is vertical, right? And there is histogram also, histogram is one that is joined together, right? All right, so I'm using a bar chart. I'm going to select this bar chart and then bring it here. So I'm going to copy it. I'm going to cut it out of here, right? And take it to my dashboard, right? And paste it somewhere here, right? So I'll bring it to the area I have designed for it, right? So I want it here. I want it here. I want it here. Right. So you can see how small it is. So it is in the hand of formatting, right? It is in the process of formatting it that I will make it, I will bring it to my desired look. And the first thing I'm going to do is to take off this header. Of course, every chart must have a header, right? So I'm going to take it off now because it's causing my chart to look smaller. I'll find an alternative to create the header later. So I'm going to take it away. I've deleted it. I'll come to this sum of revenue, right, and hide it, look at it. I right click on this sum of revenue, right? And then I said hide that value field. I'm going to do the same thing to this, right? I'm going to hide this also, hide axis field, right? And you can see that it's getting bigger. This is called legend, right? And I'm going to take the legend away. You can see legend here. I'm going to uncheck it so that legend is off. I don't want that grid line also. I'm going to take that grid line away, right? I don't want the grid line. And then what else? I don't want this horizontal pane also, the axis, right? I'm good with this, but I don't want this, right? So maybe I can even take it away from here. If I right click on it, I will see format axis. If I right click on any of these now, even if I right click on the chart, on the bars rather, I will see this format axis, and I'm going to select it and to bring me to this place where I can go ahead with my formatting, right? So in this area, I'm going to take okay, let me do that on this particular on the bars. So if I come here to say that, it will take me straight to the bars, right? And from here I can increase the size of that bar. Let me make the gap. Let me make the gap within it. Let me make it maybe let's take it to 50%. Let's see how it looks like. How it will look like. Okay, it's bigger. Let me keep reducing it until you get to the size I actually wanted. You can see it's getting bigger. Somebody's trying to join. Right. Let me keep reducing it. Okay.
Incoming call from Bolo Orange identified by Truecaller.
All right. So I'm good with it this way. I'm going to change that color away from that blue, and this is color here, right? This is field and line. So if I come to field, right, I'll take I'll select solid field, right, and I'm going to change it away from that. I'll bring it to maybe this white or this gray. Let me bring it to this white, right, and then I don't want the line, the border. I'm going to take the border away. So I'll take the border color to be no color. Where is no color? So no color is not there. Let's check more colors. Okay, it's not there. All right. Now that it is white, it means that the background, I can't keep to that background, right? So I'm going to check this back. And then, I told you when you're on the chart, some new tabs will come up, right? Then I can come to format, right, to change the color of that tab, right? This is format, and I can come here to say no fill, right? So I've taken the fill away, so I can see the white showing, right? I don't want that line also, so I will remove the line, no outline from there, right? But then the other concern, the label here, they are on black color, and I need to change them, right? So it's not an issue. I will just come there and I will right click, right? Okay, once I right click, it will bring me to where I can change the color, right? I'll come to fill, and I'll make the fill solid fill, and make it white. Is it on white? Can I leave it like this? No, I don't want to leave it like this. So let me take that away. Mind you, like I used to say, dashboard is just to your own precision, right? How you want to design your dashboard to look like, right? So it's all on you, right? So you keep exploring your professionalism or your sense of color, your sense of design, to ensure that we bring something out of it, right? And that's what we'll keep doing. I want to take this away, right? Format axis, right? I'm here, and then what color is it giving me? It should give me no color. That's what I want to use. Transparent 0. So let's increase transparent to 100. I don't want that transparent. All right. Transparent is 100. I'm good with it. I don't want that transparency. But this time is that text that I want to change the color. So let me see if I can do that here. Format and use the text. Let me make it white. Nothing is changing. Okay. Okay. I can take this away. All right. For this particular one, I need it to show. Right. Okay. Let's see if you can change that from here. Axis title, axis title, chart title, axis title, data label. Okay, no, I don't want data label. Okay. So finally, so since I'm not getting what can give me that color now, so I can use the alternative so that we don't exhaust our time, right? Okay, I'm seeing font somewhere there. I'm seeing font somewhere there. So let's quickly look at that. This is font, right? So font color should be here. All right. So I can change the font color to white. It's not changing. Okay, let's put okay. All right, that's fine. So that's what I want to achieve. All right. So maybe I can even make it bold, but I don't need to make it bold. So that is fine. I think I'm good to stop here. So also if I over my mouse on it, it will show the value, right? The value what numerator made, right? And what von Allen made. If I over my mouse on it, it will show the value. However, if I still okay, however, if I still want to make the number shows, I will just come in here, come into data label, right? There are several options for data labels. So I can put it to the center so that the label will come in there, right? Or I put it outside if there will be space. But then let's keep it to the center. If it will be obvious enough anyway. All right. So for now, let's just stop it there. Let's stop it there, or let me take it away, right? Because it's looking a bit rough. Anyway, so I'm going to take it away. So if you hover your mouse on it, it will show it. And then because I said that it will always have a heading, so we can come back to come and copy. We can copy this and duplicate it and bring it out there, right? It's going to form our heading. So we just need to edit it. And what's that supposed to be? That's supposed to top sales persons. Yes, I will call it top sales persons, right? All right, and then I can change. Okay, there's nothing to change. I can just keep it that way. All right. So then I'm gonna do for the next one. I want to show the regional sales analysis, right? Regional sales analysis. Have we done it in the summary? Regional sales analysis. All right, this is the regional sales analysis, right? And we are comparing the revenue per region to what their performances per year, right? And I'm going to use, I can check and then tell Excel to recommend a chart for me. Let's see what to recommend. Yes, it's recommending a cluster bar chart, right? A cluster bar chart. But I want to use it because I've used bar chart anyway. Okay, it's giving us a column chart, so we can go ahead with this column chart and say okay, right? So I'm just going to cut this and bring it to our dashboard, right? And I have this, right? Of course, I will position it to how I want it to be, right? Right. So it's still smaller now. So I'm going to keep formatting it. right? I'm going to take this away, hide value field. I'm going to hide this month value field, right? This time around, I'm not going to take legend away because I have so many charts, right, clustered in there. So I will leave that. However, I think that space may not be good enough for that chart. So I'm going to bring it down here. Maybe I increase this, right, and then bring it here so that we can have something bigger, right? All right, so this seems better. This seems better. All right. So the color gives concern. So we want to give a color that speaks to, to what we are doing. So for this particular one, this blue seems fine. So for this other one, I can change it from that blue and have something not very far from that blue, right? I can have this for that, and I can have this for this. For this, maybe I pick something also not far from that blue. No. So maybe this is a bit thicker, and then maybe this for this. I have what can I have? I've been using white also, so maybe I can have white, right? Let's have this gray. Also for this, let's change this because we're still going to change that background, and then that blue will conflict with the blue we have in the background. So maybe I can select maybe that white. So let's come here and format that background and have no background, right? No background, and then no line, no outline, right? No outline, and then what else? Okay, so I can also take the grid line away, right? I take the grid line away, and then come to format this fonts, and then bring the color to the white we are using, right? And say, okay, all right. Hope we are getting all of that, and then do the same thing to this, right? Font, and then bring it to white, right? All right. So here is kind of better, right? So what do we put in here now? Let's create another thing to put in there. Let's create another insight and have it on that area. Let's go back to the summary page, and then let's have revenue by year. Have we done that? We've seen revenue by month, and let's have revenue by region. Yeah, revenue by region is actually different from this particular regional sales analysis that we have done. So we can change that this other one, right? We didn't later use this, right? I only use it to show us something, or did we use it? So we didn't later use it. So let me delete it so that the space will not affect what we want to do here, right? So I'll come back to this pivot table, right? And then close this so that we can have a pivot table field. Yes. So I want to show the sales, the revenue by region. So I'm going to check revenue. I'm going to check region, right? Uncheck the year because I don't need it, and check revenue, right? So we can see the revenue by region, and I think I can use a pie chart for this, right? So I can tell Excel to suggest this thing for me. It's telling me, giving me a bar chart, a column chart. I'm going to change it to a pie chart, and out of the pie chart, I prefer a donut chart in here. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to cut it, and take it to where we want to put it, right? To the dashboard, right? And put it here, paste. And I have this. So the next thing is to format it, right? Keeping it in here, right? So I'll take this away. I'll take this away so that it can be bigger. I'm not going to take my legend away actually. So what else? I'll take this away, right? It's getting bigger. So I will format it and take the background away, right? This is fair. And then here I can format the bars and then the donut holes. Maybe I make it let me see 19 how it looks like. No. Okay. Let me use 50. All right. The donut hole is good for 50. Then color. All right. Then the color. So for this particular one, I'm going to select this one after the other. So for this, I'm going to change it away from this blue. All right, and then make it this. I'm not selecting all. I'm just selecting one of them. All right. Then this, I can bring it to this kind of blue. All right. This, I can bring it to maybe this. What else? Let's use this. Maybe this. I can bring it to if I use this, how will it look like? All right. All right. I think we can leave it this way, and that is filled. I can go ahead to change the border to take the border away. No line in the border for all of them. No line in the border. No line for the border. Right. Don't forget, it's just my precision. You can always design your dashboard the way you want. I also want to put shadow so that it comes out better. Right. There are several, shadow options that are here. Right. I like this shadow. Right. All right, I like this shadow. Also to this, I'm going to put in the shadow. I'm using this, right? Also this, I'm just taking us through, some stuff that we can do to it. Anyway, it's not always compulsory to do all of that to it. So it's just depending on how you want it to look like, right? All right, so this looks a bit, mature than when we just have it there. And of course, the legend, I can change the color to the same white we are using. All right. So I have this. All right. So that's the dashboard, and there is a last thing I'm going to talk about, and that is a whole essence of saying that we want to draw a dashboard, right? So before I move away from here, I'm particularly not comfortable with this data label, so I'm going to take it away. All right. And I think I may need to also put in shadow for this also so that it come out bolder, right? Shadow for all of them. All right. We're going to start in a new example, a new task just now. So you can start from scratch for those that are just joining us. All right. So we can have this just like this. Now, the last thing I'm going to show there is how to make this dashboard interactive. You understand? So interactive means that now this analysis is showing for it's showing for all the years 2010 and 2011. So if I need to now separate it so that we see for 2010 only, there's no way to do that in it, right? Because it is general for all of them, right? So I can come around to create what we call slicer. Slicer is just like filter. It works the same way like filter, right? Where I can now focus on some specific activities, right? And how to do that is so simple, right? There's no space to do that here. I didn't plan it as in part of my blueprint, so I can quickly create a short space for that, somewhere here. And then to get slicer, of course, I'll come back to my summary, and it depends on what I want to put in the slicer. So, but then to access slicer, the slicer is under the insert tab, under the filter, right? You see slicer, right? Once you select slicer, it will ask you question, right? That what are the things that you want to place in slicer? Usually, it will list the columns in the data, right? The headings, of the columns to list this for you. And I want to put my year in slicer so that I can look at what is happening in 2010 separately from 2011. So I'm going to put my year in slicer. I'm also going to put my region in slicer, maybe two of them for now. Of course, you can put as many things in slicer, right? Maybe just two of them for now so that we just see how it works, right? And I'm going to I'm going to cut it, right? I'm going to cut it and take it to my dashboard, right? I bring it here, I paste it here, right? It is here. And then I can't come here. Maybe I want to place it somewhere here, right? Because I just want to see the year, right? So this is my slicer. Yeah, this is my slicer. And then I can format it if I want to format it, right? I can format it. And then before that, let's pick the second one. And we have the region. And then I'm going to cut it and come to place it in my dashboard, right? And then Control V to paste it in there, right? Of course, let me put it somewhere under here, and then adjust it to the space that I have, right? And then maybe stop in here. I'm going to show you how, why I always feel that this slicer is important in almost all our reports. Now, I'm going to connect the slicer to this every other dashboard so that it can work with it. I thought I removed these. I thought I removed this data label the other time. It's back in there. All right. Don't come back again. All right. So to connect the slicer into the whole of the whole axis, I'm just going to select the slicer. And once we select the slicer, because we are on slicer, a new tab will also show on the tab ribbon that that is going to be useful for the slicer. So I'm just going to select the ribbon and come to report connection, right? So once I click the report connection, a dialog box will come up and is asking me which of the pivot tables do I want to connect it with. Don't forget that we don't forget that we created several pivot tables in this summary sheet, right? So I'm just going to select it and connect it to it. So I'll connect it to all the pivot tables that ever existed, all of them, right? I'll connect it to all of them, right? Connect it to all of them, and I think that's all. And I'm going to say, okay, I'll do the same thing for this, right? Connect, report connection. I'm going to connect it to all. My data label has shown again. I really don't know why that is doing that. All right. All right, I'm going to say, okay. All right, now this is the meaning of this. Now, I want to present this report, right? And then it is actually a sales performance for 2 years, 2010 and 2011 for this organization, right? And then I want to report it. Of course, I'm going to start by making them understand that we have a total revenue within the year. We generated a total revenue of 1.351 million naira, right? And that is achieved by selling, 7,997 items, right? If it is good or not, of course, we all decide. If it is a good business we've just done in 2 years, you understand? And we can see also this the sales trade, right? In each year, in each how we are selling in each per month, right? January, we can see that we achieved 134 in January, and when we come to February, it reduces to 108, right? You can see the line. Trend is easy to navigate through because we can see it visually, how it is coming down, our sales is coming down, and it reduces until we get to March, right? And the question we would want to ask is that why was our sales reducing? And then if it is now going up, if it goes up from March, what is the factor that actually made it go up? Those are the few things that will begin to that this analysis we push us to begin to delve into why were we having an increase, right? And then this the sales is not actually stable, and there should be reasons for that, right? That is not what every business wants to experience. So at the point where it is declining, we want to find out why is it declining. Who are the salespersons on ground? Which regions are we getting those declinations or declines, those declines and all of that, right? And then we want to see that we can easily see that the trend is not stable, but we can pick up some important things. We had the lowest sales in October. We had the highest sales is it in December or in January, right? Okay, in December, because in December we had 142,000, and in January we have 134,000, right? So we have the highest sales in January, right? I want to think, does it have to do with festive period? Does it have to do with people trying to stock up the house for the festival, right? It may be the reason, but then more analysis, more data will be collected that suits that purpose, so that we can actually establish that this is the reason. And if you want to think that that's the reason, it's actually reasonable, because immediately after December, I mean, we can see that in December we had it, and in January it looks like something like that is still happening. So maybe it makes sense to think that way. But then we had the lowest sale in October. Something must be responsible for that, right? But then that is for the 2 years. If we now need to know for each of the year, let's say 2010, for example. So because I have a slicer, right, I can come here and select 2010, and every information I would be having now would be for 2010, right? Would be for 2010. But then I just noticed something that is not, the slicer is not affecting total revenue. So I quickly want to check it, right? All right, it's working for all of them except for the total revenue. So let me quickly check that and see what is happening. All right. Okay. So it's because I just typed in the figure in here. So I'm supposed to pick the figure using the function, right? So I'll come back here and say this is equals to this. No. Okay, I'm saying equals to this, right? And I say enter. Yes. So this is gotten with the function, okay? Equals to this. And I say enter, right? So if I come back to this place, so what we have here should reflect. So if I click it now, it's reflecting, yes. So for 2010, we can see that as soon as I select 2010, you see that the whole report has conformed to 2010. So I can see easily without going back to the summary or to the data set itself. I can see easily that in 2010, out of what we said we're making, right, all of them is 1.35 million naira, right? In 2010, we made 684, and we sold a total of 4,000. We sold a total of 4,051, items, right? And we can still see the sales trend, right? The way it's still going. It's since December is still we made lower sales. Before it used to be December. In the general sales, it used to be December followed by January. But January seems to, in 2010, our performance in January seems to be very low, right? So it means that it is the performance in 2011 that actually helped, what we had in 2010 to work better, right? But then our peak, our good time during the period was still December. December is 78,000, and then maybe July. Let's say February. February is also at the top, 64, 62. So we had a good time in December, and we had a good time in February, right? And that is in 2010, right? We can see also in 2010 the performances by region, which of the region is leading. Before, when we had all of them, right, throughout the sales, it was Von Allen that was our star boy, our salesperson, right? That will actually praise. But something happened. If you check 2010, if you look at 2010, you see that Von Allen was not even in the list. Okay, he was second, but somebody performed better than him. That's Livingston, right? But then Livingston seems to have a bad sales year in 2011, right? So in 2011, Livingston is not even on the list. So what has happened? What happened to Livingston? Where is it exactly? We don't even know where Livingston is. But then let's go to the summary to go and look for Livingston. Oh, Livingston, we have filtered it. So Livingston is not even on the list. But then, of course, if we need to see Livingston, we know what to do. We just go to that filter and go and bring Livingston out. But we find out that Livingston, who was contending, as a good salesperson in 2010, something happened to him in 2011. Of course, the manager will pick interest in that and try to see why is Livingston, reducing in terms of performance and all of that. So that is how, if you want to check out from the slicer, you come and cancel the slicer here, right? And it will return to how it is to be, right? So that is how the slicer is very good, to use when presenting a report. It makes it easy for us to navigate through, all of those insights that we are trying to talk about. Of course, we need to talk about the regions also, right? If you need to talk about the region, we can also come and see the Northeast, right? How we were selling in the Northeast, who was selling better in the Northeast. So this is where Von Allen actually was selling, right? Let's see Northwest. So in Northwest, Von Allen was not in that list. So he's probably not deployed to Northwest. He can't be at the same place at every time, right? So maybe he's not in Northwest, right? That's why we don't see him. So these are the three people that are actually selling in Northwest, right? And we can see for Southeast, right? So you can see slicer is actually very good. And I will always recommend that in all reports, right, we include slicer. I put in slicer to all my own reports, all, right? And you can see the regional area because we are sticking to only one area. We have selected only one area. That's why we are having the donuts, to reflect only one area. You can see that's the color we have given to that area. And if you come down, right, if you come down also, we can see that is supposed to be the regional sales analysis. Let me remove the slicer on that area so that we focus on that part, right? Now, if you come down to the regional sales analysis, we can see in one view the performances in each region, right? And the legend is already telling us that white stands for Northeast, this kind of blue stands for Northwest, this what color is this? This color stands for Southeast, and then this color stands for gray color stands for Southwest. And we can see from there which of them is performing better. And in all of that, we can see that Northeast seems to be leading in generating revenue for us, right? That region is really performing well, right? And we want to look at the factors that contribute to that. This is Northeast, this is Northeast, this is Northeast. Northeast actually give us our best revenue in that year. And the guy that is actually doing wonders there is this same guy, Von Allen. So you can see how we can delve into the data set, right? And help the organization to make some important decisions, give them insight into that, very plenty, in quote, data set that ordinary eyes cannot quickly look at, right? The data set is not actually plenty, but then look at the one that we used as a class task, right? That has about 14,000 plus row. You can see that is not what we can look at the data set and begin to draw out insights from. We need to bring it to the pivot table, analyze it, and in most cases design a dashboard like this for it, right? I hope you understand. Are there specific questions before we move on to the next data set that we want to work with? Any question at this point? Do you have any question? All right. If there is no question, right? Don't forget we are moving to the end of okay. So I'm supposed to share a new data set and use it, but I think I shouldn't do that, right? I'm going to give us that data set as a project, right? But we will now have a good time to discuss it, to do correction, right? But I want us to go and do it and then work better with it, think around it. I'll tell us the insight to bring out from it. I'll actually tell us what to bring out from it. Then we'll have to deploy our understanding of Excel and then the use of pivot table. So it means that we need to watch that video again, especially the last two videos, so that we'll be able to, so that we can work around the pivot table, then to bring out the insight right from it, generate a dashboard like this, a very compelling dashboard that we can now talk about what we have done in there, right? So don't be scared if we are not going to do something wonderful, right? Of course, I believe we'll do something great. We'll still come back to the class and position, make it look better, and keep it as a project that we include in our portfolio. All right. So I'm doing that because I want us to quickly touch the other things that we have not touched. So I'm going to move on. I'm going to create a new in here, right? I'm going to create a new worksheet. All right. I'm going to drag it to this end and name this Power Query. I'll name it Power Query. All right. Power Query. All right. Now, so what do we do here in Power Query? When I started the class, I run us through the data analytics processes, and there are 5 of them. The first one is to get the data, right? And the second one is to clean the data. And cleaning the data is the reason why we have to, run. Is the reason why we have to. Please, let's move to our mic. Cleaning the data is the reason why we need to run through, learning several things in Excel, learning the functions, learning to generate, to use the so many functions, right? But Excel actually have a tool designed for cleaning data. Excel has a dedicated tool that it has designed to clean the data, right? That data, that tool is called the Power Query Editor. The Power Query Editor. And the Power Query Editor, right? If you come to all of these tabs and keep searching for Power Query Editor, we will not see it. It's not there. So that's why so many people are not used to using Power Query Editor. However, if you're on Power BI, which is one of the tools that we are still going to use before the end of this course, the Power Query Editor is on the Power BI by default. So everybody who analyzes data, they use the Power Query Editor on the Power BI because you can't escape it there. As soon as you are deploying your data set into the Power BI, it will take you straight to the Power Query Editor, where you will now clean the data before going ahead to analyze it, because we have established it that without cleaning the data, you cannot analyze. So Power BI has designed it that don't come and analyze without cleaning the data. So once you deploy your data set into the Power BI, where it takes you to is the Power Query Editor. Then you can clean it from there. But then this is Excel, right? I know several people that do most of the analysis here on Excel. So if they have to do it on Excel, how will they not clean it if they don't want to go to the Power BI, right? So the Power Query editor is on Excel, right? There is a particular data set that I have once shared with us out of all the plenty data set that I shared with us at the beginning of this class, right? The name is data sample. Can we quickly get our hands into it? Oh, I understand that some joined us later and they will not have it. So let me quickly share it on the chat. Let me quickly share it on the chat so that those people can quickly pick it, right? I'm going to share it here. I'm going to share it in here. All right. Data sample. All right. All right. So I just shared the new data to. I just shared it on our page, right? Please confirm if you can see it. Data sample. I already shared it for those that joined from the beginning, right? We have it already. Please confirm if you can see it.
Same, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. All right. So we are going to use that data set. Please save it somewhere. If you have saved the file that I sent earlier, so you don't need to download it again, right? You already have it. Now, to access the Power Query editor, that data is what we are going to use here. That's why I'm sending it. Now, to access the Power Query editor, right? The Power Query editor is under the tab. It's under the data tab, right? I'm sure you can see my Excel sheet where I am, right? I'm on that Power Query editor. Now, if you come to the data tab, if you select the data tab, the first group that you will see is called get and transform data. Get and transform data. And sincerely, that is what the Power Query editor is. Now, we are gradually moving into what we'll likely discuss in the Power BI class. And then the data cleaning processes, right? The data cleaning processes are given by 3 acronyms, right? They are given by 3 acronyms. The acronym is ETL. ETL. This is a common interview question for data analysts, right? They will ask that what is the data cleaning process, right? And the data cleaning process in data analysis is given by the acronym ETL. It's an acronym, and I'm going to tell us the meaning. The E there stands for extract. That is, if you need to work on the data, if you need to analyze the data, of course, you need to clean it. So if you need to clean it or work on that data, the first thing you will do is to extract the data from the data source, right? Is to extract the data from the data source. Now, this is coming to us with the understanding that as a data analyst, you will not always pick up your data from Excel, because it seems like our data will always be your data will always be on Excel. No, right? If you are working as a data analyst, I'm not saying that I'm using Excel for my regular work in the office, right? I work in a place where I am in a position where we use data a lot, and then somebody will send data to me, right? Of course, if the data is going to be extracted for us and be sent to us, and you are not a data analyst, right? They would have prepared the data into Excel. So it is the Excel format that will be sent. That's what we have access to. right? So, but then if you're actually working as a data analyst, you will be working with the database. You understand? So the most of your data will be found in the database, and then it will be your responsibility to go to the database and extract the data out of it and use it for what you want to use it for. And this is the reason why we'll be starting the next class, that is SQL, because that's a language, that's a programming language that we use to query the database. But then that's for next week. Now, if we want to get the data, remember I said that the process of cleaning data sets in data analytics is called ETL. The first one is called extract. That is, we have to extract the data set, the data out of the source. So the source can be from the SQL, from, of course, any kind of database. It can be from the SAP database. It can be from Azure database. It can be from anywhere, right? But then we need to extract it. And then extracting it is what is this first step you are seeing here, that is saying get data. That is, get the data from the source. So if I click it now, look at what I will see. Now it has listed several sources for me. Where is my data? Don't forget, as a data analyst, your data will not always be on Excel. So it's asking us from database. If you come to from database, of course, I'm not picking this file for a reason. I'll come back there, right? Because that's where we are still going into. So if you have picked from database, you can see all the several kind of databases that we have. Is it from SQL Server database? Is it from Microsoft Access database? Is it from analysis services or any sort of database, right? Your data can also be stored in an Azure cloud, right? So whichever way where your data set is being kept, where your organization keeps your data, right? Or what they use as their database, will go in there and go and extract data sets from it. But usually, for now, we are still we are used to the Excel, right? So to pick up the data set from Excel, we'll go to from file, right? And when we come to from file, we'll see the options that we have from Excel workbook, which is where we are, right? The other format that we can have in A is from text. So we can also extract the data set from normal text document like Word, Microsoft Word. We can extract data from it, right? We can also extract data from if it is just a HTML file, right? We can extract the data set from PDF, even though PDF seems to be a file that we cannot edit, right? Excel is able to extract the table, the data set that we have in it, and work with it, right? So we can pick it also from a JavaScript format and JavaScript file. JSON means JavaScript, right? But then we are working with Excel. So if I select Excel, it's going to load. It's going to take me to my system because we say Excel. So Excel will be on the system, right? So it's going to take me to the system where I can now go and bring in the data set, right? Now, the data set we want to work with is the data sample, the one I've shared again I've shared to the group. So go to where you have download the data set, save it somewhere on your system, and now let's go to the system. So I'm going to go to where I kept it, right? The folder that I kept it. Please, let's all do the same thing from our end, right? I kept it. Where is that? Under source view analytics. Is that? Yes, data analytics class, right? Lecture. I got the database training, and this is data sample. So I have clicked it, and it's going to extract. Somebody wants to ask a question?
I am not seeing from
Right.
Excel. Sorry, I'm not seeing from Excel from the get data source.
All right, please share your screen in a jiffy. Let's quickly look at it.
I did not connect my laptop to the internet.
Okay.
I used my phone. But what I'm seeing is
Okay, what are you saying?
the get external data I saw from other
Yes.
sources, and from
Yes.
that other sources I saw from SQL, from analysis, from Windows, Azure, from old data field, from XML data.
Please check from file.
From file is not there.
There should be something that looks like a file. Okay. Do we have from
So,
XLSX?
sir,
From
I think myself and sorry to interject. I think myself and Robin that we're using the same Excel. So,
Okay, that should be 2000.
I've been able to maneuver to get the
Okay.
postcode file. So you use Robin, I use from XML data import.
Yes.
I don't know if you can
from what? XML data imports.
Yeah, click on from Excel.
Okay,
XML
I've seen
data.
from XML data imports.
So it will bring out your
Okay.
file manager.
Yes.
So
I've
you
seen
change
it.
that XML files to all files.
Yeah. That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, thank you. I've seen it. Thank you.
All right. Please do that on time. Let's see if it works on your system. Does it?
It's working actually, yes.
All right. Now, so if you have selected that file, it's going to load it into the Power Query Editor. So the place it has loaded it to is what we call Power Query Editor. But Power Query Editor in itself is not written in Excel. So it makes many people not be familiar with Power Query Editor when they are using Excel. Now, we are on Power Query Editor, right? The first page it will bring it to it will not take it straight into the Power Query Editor. You will see a page that is named Navigator. Can we see Navigator on our own system? Can we see Navigator on our system? Where I am. Is my screen still showing?
Yes, sir. Your screen is still showing, sir.
All right.
No,
So let me share all the right. Yes. So can you see this page that is called Navigator, that shows Navigator on your own system?
Yes.
All right. So that is where it will bring the data set into, right? Now, on the Navigator is going to show you something like this, right? In a sheet, you can have more than one. You can have more than one table. You understand? You can have more than one table in a particular sheet, right? And it is possible that it is not all the tables in that sheet that you actually want to work with. This is what I mean. Let me cancel this. We'll come back to it. Let me show you something from our pivot table. You can see that this pivot table, the all of the data set is from here, right? Is from here to here, right? This is all the data set we are working with, right? Then down. Is that not so? Are you following me? Oh, you're almost there. Okay. So this is all the data sets, and it ends here, right? It ends at this point. So that is one table, right? I'm bringing this new one, this new column that we just generated into it because it's too close to it. Now, if we have any space in here, right? And then we have another, let's say we have another table, maybe something like this. This other table, right? We have this other table, something like this, for example, and then no. All right, so let me select that again. So let's say we have maybe just this, only these two. Only these two. No. All right. Yes, we have just these two copied, right? And I bring it to this place. I bring it somewhere here, right? And I paste it in here. Now, you will see that this particular one, there is a space between it, right? There's an empty column, empty column between it that is not having any data, right? So Excel, we see these ones as one single table because there's a break between them, and see all these ones as one single table. You understand? So by the time you are taking it, yes, I'm with you.
No, I was responding to you.
All right, thank you. So by the time I take this data, I'm taking this sheet now to the Power Query Editor, right? I will see two different tables listed in that Navigator. this will be 1, and this will be 1. So any point you see that the arrangement of the headers, I mean the data set has a break in terms of the positioning of in the column, right? There is a break. Just know that the rest from the point where you have that break to forward, the data set they are seeing in there will be identified as to be a separate table. You understand? So when I come to this Power Query editor now, right? Where's our Power Query editor? Oh, I off it, so I have to go and do that again, right? From file, from workbook, right? Data sample, and then yes, it's going to load it into the navigator. So you can see it is loading and to come straight to the navigator. So if I have more than one table in that data set, right? If I have more than one table in that data set, it's going to list all the tables, and I'm going to select the actual table that I want to work with. But in the case of this data that we are using as a sample, right? This data that is called data sample, then we have only one data in it. That's why I have this particular only this data there. So I'm just going to select it. And once I select it, look at this place. It's going to show us a preview of it, how the data looks like, right? So once we check this preview and we are sure that this is data we intend to work with, then we can go ahead with it. Meanwhile, if we have more than one table, right, it's going to list all the table here, and then it will give you a box to check, right? So you will now check. If you actually want to work with 3 tables, you check all the tables. If you want to work with 4 tables, you check all the tables, right? Or if the tables are spread across the sheet, let's say on sheet A, on sheet 1, you have a table in there. On sheet 2, I'm coming, Mr. Godwin. On sheet 2, you have another table in there. On sheet 3, you have another table in there. It's going to list all the tables in there for us, right? And then we're going to check the tables that we actually want to work with, right? And then we'll go ahead with our data cleaning. Okay, Mr. Godwin, let me hear you.
Okay, sorry, sir. Actually, I'm having challenge viewing this get data and get from my own Excel platform. So there are some functions that I noticed that they are not displaying on it.
So can you share your screen? Are you using the system?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please share your screen on time. Mr. Femi, I'm coming.
Can you see my screen, sir?
It's loading. All right, it's showing.
Okay. Where is my... Sorry. This is my screensaver. Where is my Excel? Where is my Excel? It's not showing again. Okay. So this is it here.
All right. So let's go to, you're using Google Sheets.
Okay, yes, I'm using, okay, the other Excel is on my work database. So like, because this is the way laptop I use for office. So I have 2 Excel. I don't know. The other Excel is on our office database. So I don't know. That's the reason why those functions are not always displaying here.
Go to import data. I'm seeing import data somewhere there.
Import data.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. So import data. Yes. Yes. Okay. Oh, it's quite different. Select data source. Let's go.
Okay.
So you can pick it data sample.
Okay, sir. Let me know the delay. I've seen it now. Thank you, sir.
No, please do it. Run it. Let's see. It may be different. It may lead us. Let's see together.
I'm not seeing the one
It was in that folder you left just now. That's it. Thought to the last.
Data. Yes.
I don't think it's not coming up. Okay. Fail to open file. There may be one of the following problems. The file format or database is selected is unsupported. Okay. I guess so. That maybe that is the okay. Let me
So
see.
actually, because we are using this WPS, that's why it's giving us issue, right?
Okay.
If the normal Excel, you have access to it. One of the things you will see is that in this very one you are using, pivot table is under data tab, right? Which it used to be under insert tab. Can you see? Pivot table used to be under insert tab, but now we are having it under data tab. So it means that some things. So let's go to insert. Let's see insert. Go to your insert. Let's see what's there. Insert tab. Go to your insert tab. So is get data here? Get data is not
Yes,
here as well.
I'm there. Okay.
All
Get
right.
data is not here.
So yeah, so I think it's that import data that actually speak to it. But then we need to pay more attention. You need to pay more attention to how that particular one works. Right.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Thank you. You can stop sharing. Bro Femi.
Yes. There's this particular challenge
Bro
that I've
Godwin, you
been
can
trying to work on.
so that another person can share.
No, hello, can you hear me?
I think I've
I
stopped
can hear you.
sharing.
Okay. Actually, I'm not with my system, but because of this lesson, there's a particular challenge that is actually something I've been thinking of.
All right.
There's this quality metrics that I work on weekly basis.
All right.
So the weekly report, like the liquid report is on a particular sheet. You understand? So there's a particular element that I want to pick out from the weekly report, maybe like customer complaints, and I want to use that to create a chart. So I don't know if there's a possibility for me to extract that particular metric from my weekly report, then use it to plot a chart to actually see if there's a progress. I mean, the progression of that particular metric.
Yes,
I don't know if
there's
you
a
get my question.
I understand. So in that case, you actually don't need to take it to the pivot table. Just select the data sets, right? The columns that you want to compare with each other. Then go to insert tab and go and select the visuals that you want to use.
The challenge is, if I want to do that comparison for the entire year, is it not going to be too long?
No, you have to select everything. I have to do it for the entire. It won't be
for
too
the
long.
52 weeks.
Yes.
Wow. So there's
maybe if I see the data set anyway, let me not conclude.
Okay. All right. Maybe I can share it with you tomorrow.
Okay. Or if it is something, okay. If it is something you can share, some data cannot be shared. So it's not, there's some data that is not advanced. But if it is what we need to bring the system then together, then we can harness that.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. So I'll share my screen again so that we can move ahead. All right. So now, before leaving this point, I would actually love to first of all open that data, right? That particular data set, right? That we are bringing to the pivot table, and let's see how it looks like. Do I need to do that? No. Okay, let's go ahead. So I have selected the data set and I'm seeing the preview in A, right? So what I will do next is, now if you come down here, you will see three features, right? Three buttons. You see load, you see transform, you see cancel. Of course, we can't cancel because we still want to clean this data. Now the question is, which one would you select out of load and transform? Don't forget that the data cleaning processes is ETL. The E that stands for extract is what we have done. We have extracted the data set and we can see the data set in A, right? This is the data set. Now, after E, what is the next thing? The ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. Extract, transform, and load. And it has to come in that order. The first thing I've done is to extract the data from whatever data set, from whatever data source, from whatever database that the data is being kept, right? We are only using Excel as a database because that's what we can actually lay our hand on, right? If you are working with a particular data set, you have access to a particular database, right? We're going to extract data from that database and it will come straight to this navigator page. right? And we can preview the data set in this manner. After doing that, don't go to load, because load is the last thing. What you do is to transform. Transform data is the same thing as saying clean the data. You understand? We want to transform the data into a form that will be fit for analysis. So don't load at this point. The next place you go to, the next button to click is to transform data, and the data is going to load itself straight into the Power Query editor. So we'll get into the Power Query editor appropriately. So it is loading. Let's just wait for it to load and see how the Power Query editor, how the interface looks like, right? It's actually very similar to the Excel, but then it's not Excel. Now, this is the Power Query editor. It's actually still loading. Yes, this is the Power Query editor. You can see from this top here, the name is called Power Query Editor. This is a tool that Excel has designed for data cleaning or for data transformation, right? And if you look at this interface very well, you will see that it actually looks like the Excel interface. But however, you will also see clearly that it's different. This is not Excel, right? From the tab ribbon, you can see the tab ribbon. Here we have just 4 tabs, right? Home, insert is not here. We have home, transform, add column, and view. Those are the tabs we have. All those developer, data tab, insert tab, and all of that, they are not here. So it's different, right? And if you look at the ribbons for each of the tabs, is also different, right? You can see it's also different. So it's quite different to the Excel. So this is the Power Query editor. And let's get ourselves familiar with the Power Query editor. How does it look like? This is how it looks like. Now, this is the name of the data we're actually working with. You can see the name shown on this side, right? But before I move to this side, still talking about the tabs. The tab has functionalities where we can load the data. Don't forget that load data is the last process in the ETL, in the data cleaning process, right? Extract, transform, and load. So after we have cleaned this data in here, right? After I've cleaned this data and this data is fit for analysis, this is where we'll go and load it, right? And it will go to where we'll now go ahead to analyze it, right? But then we need to clean the data first. And one beautiful thing about Power Query Editor is that it will give you insight about the performance of your data. So you can see some data that have error. You can see it straightly from the data, from the Power Query Editor, from the interface. This is what I'm saying. If you look at each column, you will see that it gives us something like a short analysis of the performances of the data in that column. You can see that we have the valid data in it is 100% in this under this name column, right? There is no error. It's identifying that there is no error, and it's saying that there is no empty cell, right? So it means that each of the rows, right, has data in them, which is fine. Don't forget, if you have empty cells in any data set, empty cell is an error, is a debt in the data. I mean, is a debt to the data set. So if we have empty cell, we cannot go ahead to analyze. If there are empty cells in any data set we are working with, we cannot go ahead to analyze. It means that data is not clean. So we have to get rid of every empty cells. And it is not getting rid of the empty cells does not mean that we'll now go and be identifying those empty cells and be deleting them. No. You understand? Because the more you delete the empty cells, the more we make the data set more dirty. You understand? For example, now look at, let's say this is where we have the empty set, right? This AB 45, right, is where we have the empty set. And I'll say because there's empty set here, there's no way you delete only cell. You can't delete a cell. You have to delete it either from the row or from the column. So if you delete from the row, it means that all the names are gone. So that is reducing. You're already reducing the columns to analyze. And if you delete from the row, it means that all these rows are gone. You understand? So if the data set is 1,000, we have reduced it to 999. So even though it may actually get to a point that our only option will be to delete the row. Of course, we can't delete column, but we can actually delete row. But then it has to be that we have looked for what we can do and there is nothing to do. You understand? But then there are actually many things to do that will make us not to delete the row. Let's just flow along. Let me take us through this data set. So usually when you come to the Power Query editor, okay, yes, sir. Pastor, sir.
Okay, my own Power Query editor is not showing this row that has the valid, the error, and empty.
Yes, sir.
Is there anywhere
It's true.
it needs to be enabled or something?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm going to take you through it. So if you come to the Power Query editor and it's not showing this short summary, right? It is called column quality, right? So to access the column quality, come to this view tab, right? There's a view tab in here. Select the view tab, and you will see some groups in here. There's a layout group and there's data preview group. Now, in the data preview group, you can see column quality. It is checked. That's why I'm saying it. So if I uncheck it, it has gone. Right? If I uncheck it, it has gone. So usually when you import your data set into the Power Query editor, right, and then it is not showing like that, just come to the view tab and check the column quality, and it will be there. Pastor, please do it, sir. Let's confirm if it works.
Yeah, it's showing now. It's okay. I've done.
All right, thank you, sir. So I'm back to the home tab. So we can quickly look at it. Now, the first thing I'm seeing here is that my data is saying that it is 100% correct. Error, no error. Empty, no empty. That's a good one. But it doesn't mean that the data is clean. I'll come back to that. Now look at the gender column. Gender column is saying we have only 96% valid. 4% is empty. This is a big issue, right? At the end of the day, by the time we are leaving this Power Query editor, by the time we are loading the data set into the area where we want to analyze it, we must have 100% valid. That is the goal. We must have 100% valid. That is when we are sure that the data is clean. If the data is not clean, we cannot go ahead to analyze it. So this is department. This actually is showing that no error, but then we can't conclude. But then it's good that we are saying that no error, 100% valid. Salary, 96% valid. So we have work to do here. Location, 100% valid. That's fine. And there was the last one. And then date, right? 100% valid. That's fine. So we've done the first thing. We've checked for the validity, right? We've checked the column quality, and we've seen the one that actually need attention. We know we are coming back to them. But before we leave this name column, now let me even ask us: does it look like this name column is clean? Is anybody seeing any error? Does it look like there's an error? Please, I need just one person to just respond.
You're saying
Yes.
45.
45. So there's no possible we have somebody's name and then there is 45 in that name. Somebody's name cannot be. My name is not Olamide Maxwell 45. It is not possible. So saying this, it shows that there is an error. So, and the fact that we are even saying the 45 on all of them, the 45 is on all of them. So it means that maybe somebody made mistake. Maybe why I'm just trying to reason what can cause this situation. Maybe why the database administrator is working on the data set inside the database, right? Yeah, he mistakenly put in a command that will make 45 reflect all of them, and he didn't notice. And me as a data analyst, I've just gone to the database to extract the data out, right? I'll meet the error. And if you remember in some of my classes, I've said that it is not always guaranteed that when you're extracting your data set from the database, right, it will in fact, in so many cases I've seen, there will always be something to clean about the data. It makes data cleaning a crucial part of data analysis. Because without clean data, you can't go ahead to analyze it. So this is an error. 45 should not be here, right? And how do we clean this? Let me even ask us, if we're to be using Excel for this, how would we clean this 45? Forget Power BI. We have done this.
We add another column, please. And
all
then
right.
flash fill.
Okay, flash fill will work. Thank you.
You can use the replace function also.
Yes, sir. We can use replace function. I don't think replace function will work here. Because if I use replace function, So
with nor, just with nor, everything with nor.
so all these column will now change to null. I
No,
will not see
space 45. I'll replace space 45 for all.
for all. Maybe
Yes.
that can work. Yes, sir. Maybe that can work. But then you remember that we also talk about text to column wizard, right? That we can now use text to column wizard to separate 45 away from it. So to bring 45 to another column, and we'll take it, we'll clean it from there. That is one. We can also use the text split, right? To split 45 away from it. But yes, we can use text split to split 45 away from it. But then the issue text split we have is that by the time we use text split to divide it, I mean to separate it, it will separate AB, the first name in the column, the second name, I mean the last name in the column, and the number in another column. So if I pick the column that has the number and I delete that, it will come back to mean that I am having the first name and the last name in separate column. But that's not what I want to achieve. I want to keep having AB and Lara in one column and 45 out of it, right? But then those are the various way you can approach. But a quick one is to use text to column wizard or the flash fill, which looks like the cheat that I used to call cheat anyway. All right. Now we are going to do something similar to text to column wizard in this Power Query editor, right? Something similar. So what I will do is to split this column, right? To split it, and I'm going to take the 45 away, right? That's exactly what we just explained if you have to use Excel, but I'm going to do the same thing in the Power Query editor. And how does it work? If you look at this home tab that I have, right, you will see a particular function that talks about where is it? Choose column, no. Remove column, no. Keep rows, split columns. Yes, this is it. So we want to split that column. This name column, we want to split it. So at first I will select the column. Of course, it's selected already. Yes, I'll select the column. It's selected here already, and I'm going to select split column. And if as I click it, it will bring out several options for me, right? It's asking me, how do I want to split it? If I say I'm splitting by delimiter, of course, we understand what delimiter is by now, right? I mean, from our Excel class, delimiter
Yes,
is
sir.
just the separator between the data sets. So as it is now, what's the delimiter here? Of course, that is the space, right? So if I say by delimiter, it's going to separate this data set into 3 because I have AB space Lara space 45. So it's going to separate it into 3, right? I'm going to have 3 columns at the end of the day. But that's not what I want to achieve. What I want to achieve is to have only 45 out. So if I look at the other one, by numbers of character, then I will now come up. If I select this option, it will bring another dialog box where I will now specify that it should divide from what particular number of character. If I say it should divide it from the 5th character, so it will count 1, 2. The space is another one, 3, 4, 5. That is AB space LE, and it will count that 5 for all of them and separate from them. But then that's not still what I want to achieve. So let's look at the other options. By position, obviously that's not what I want to achieve. By lowercase to uppercase, right? So it will look at every area where we have the first lowercase and the first lowercase. In fact, this is not actually possible, right? Because we actually start with uppercase, right? But then where I'm going to is, if you look at this area, you will see by digit to non-digit, by digit to non-digit. And if you look at the arrangement of the data set, you will see that it is non-digit that comes first before the digit. So we cannot actually do by digit to non-digit here, but we can do by non-digit to digit. So this is the option that I'm going to select. So if I select this now and say it's divided, you can see it has separated it from digits. It has separated the non-digit away from the digits. You understand? And I have this in here, right? And now, if you look at this now, this is the area that I don't need actually. So I'm just going to come here, do right click, right? I right click this, and I'm going to remove it. Remove, or if I don't want to pick it from there, if I don't want to right click here, you can see remove column straight from here, and I will just select remove column, and that column, that 45, have gone because I don't actually need it, right? Now, before I move further, before I come to speak about this place, then I need to call attention to something also. In Power Query Editor does not have undo. Control Z, it doesn't work here, right? But there is a way we try to do undo. In the Power Query Editor, everything you are doing is being recorded here. Apply steps. You can see this apply steps, right? Number one, I generated the data set from the source. Number two, it brings me to the navigator place, right? Number three, I promoted header, right? I didn't actually do it, but it does it for me, right? But I'm going to talk about that also since I'm saying it here. I didn't do it, but it has done it by default. It is possible that we have people around us, just like Pastor just noted that, when he brought in the data into Power BI, into Power Query Editor, the column quality is not checked. So you can also bring your your data set into the Power Query Editor, and then you will not see the header. The header will not be showing. The header will just be showing as, here we have number one, AB Larian, male, null, and all of that. So it's possible for you to bring the data set into the Power Query Editor, and you have number one to be name, gender, department salary. So that will be your number one. And at this top, there won't be anything there, right? You just have something like column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. So it means that the header is showing as the first row. So if you have that situation, right, what you do is to come to this still under the home tab, transform group, and you can see use first row as header. So if you have that situation, just come and select this, that use first row as header. Don't forget that what you have here as the header would have been on this first row. So once you click that option, it will bring it to the header, right? And it will record it here. So what I'm having here shows that it has done that for me. That is what is supposed to, to happen by default. But the Power Query Editor has done that for me. It has brought the first row to the header, and that's why you record that state here, right? And the next thing I do, I have not actually done this, and I'm going to talk about that right later. Change data type. And the next thing I did after that is to split column, which is what I just did to take the 45 away and remove column. I splitted the column, then I removed the column that I splitted. So to now do something like an undo, right? If I want to see the 45 that I deleted, I'll just come to this step, this particular step that I did, and click cancel. That I've canceled that step, and you can see that it has returned to the last step before that. The 45 that I deleted have returned. So that is how to do something like undo in Power Query Editor. Control Z doesn't work here, and there's no undo button anywhere around there. I hope you understand that. But then I'm going to remove the column again so that we can move ahead, right? Now that is one, and that is one thing that we have done. Now the other thing now to do after that is to now ensure that this name is now correct. You can see that when we created a new column, we splitted the column. Because it is a name column that we're splitting. So it created two names. We have name 1 and name 2. Name 2 is where the 45 is. Let me go back there again, right? So you can see name 1 and name 2. This is the name 2 because we splitted this name to get this. So it labeled it as name 1, name 2. So I deleted this, right? I deleted this. I'm going to remove it from here, right? I deleted this. So I have to rename this back to name instead of name 1 that is there. So I can just double click on that column and write name, or just remove that .1 that is there and say enter, right? And that will be fine. You understand? So I have cleaned this area like that. That's how to clean it. So I'll move to the next column, right? But before I move to the next column, one of the very important things that you must do with your data is to check the data type, right? Data type, that's what it has done for me. That's why I recorded this. But let me quickly talk about it, right? Of course, we know that name will always be, there are 3 data types, basic data type in managing data, right? Every other type comes under these 3. I've mentioned it in Excel when we're doing Excel. I mean, we are still on Excel actually, but I've mentioned it before, right? Now, it is what data type is what Excel calls data format, right? And there are 3 data types. It's either your data is a string character, right? Under string character is where we have the usual text that we used to use. Under string character is where we have those symbols, at, hash, asterisk, and all of that. That's under string character. Under string character is where we have any kind of symbol, anyway, any kind of symbol, right? So another data type that we have is the number data type. We call it numeric, right? It is under numeric that we have currency. Under numeric that we have accounting. It's under numeric that we have what does we have? The general numbers. Under numeric, that's where we have decimal numbers and all, right? That's the second data type. And the third data type that we have in Excel or in data management generally is the date and time, right? So you must ensure that each column are in the right data type that they are supposed to be, right? So this is name. Name column will always be name. I mean, the data type will be character string or name or text. Text is the general word I can use for it, right? So if it is not text, we have to come and change the data type, right? These are the symbols that we use to know. This icon behind the name shows the data type that they have. So that they have at the moment, right? So ABC is text. So it means that this data type is correct. Name is a text. And if you need to change it at any time, what you need to do is just right click on that column head and scroll down. You will see change type in here, right? So when you come to change type, and you see that the arrow will lead you to the next thing, then you can select. We are on text, that's why we are here. But then these are the several other ones that are available, right? But then we'll talk about data type also by the time we get to SQL, which we are starting in the next class, right? So that's how to change the data type. Like this, salary will always be number. But then you can see the kind of number that is here, right? This is a decimal number. That's why I have 1.2. So if I just right click it, right, and I come to change data type, right, I will see every other ones that are there, right? Decimal number is on decimal number because usually salary should be in decimal number. I know there are some people that collect 500,000 points to 3 at the end of the day, so it's possible. And then when you are dealing with money, financial data, this is important to know for those who will later be financial analysts or who accountants or those who will be working with financial data, right? In financial data, we don't just round up, right? Because if you have 1.3 million, right? 1.3 million, somebody will just say that maybe it's 0.3 and round it off back to 1 million. But in the actual sense, 1.3, that 0.3 million is a whole of 300,000. You understand? So 300,000 is big, it's not small when it comes to accounting, when it comes to finance. So we don't just round up anyhow. That's why we must ensure that we are using the actual data type that will fit what we are doing. So if the analysis or the data presentation, requires us to leave it in 4 decimal place, so we must ensure that we are working with that 4 decimal place, because that round off that we are doing may actually cost something. And if you do it in row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, and you have about 10,000 rows, by the time you sum those excesses together, it's going to come back to form big amount of money. So that's why the understanding of data type is very important here. So I cannot just come here to come and select whole number for salary. So somebody that is collecting, a decimal number should have his data type being on decimal number, right? And of course, location is also text, but then I've shown you how to change it in case the data type is not accurately positioned. Now, let's now come back to gender, right? This is gender. And I'm going to spend time here, right, just to make us understand some few things. Now, gender is showing that we have 96% valid, 4% empty, right? So we have male, female, male, female. So empty. Now, data analysts we ask ourselves questions. I mean, a question that we ask ourselves and we'll still answer by ourselves just to make sure that the data is justified. Now, the question is, what will make somebody have I have given somebody a form to fill for me, and I say fill your gender, right? And it fills male, it fills female. And then the options are available are just male and female. So what will make somebody not fill a form? Will it be that the person does not understand his gender? You understand? But these are the issues that we have, right? When you're trying to generate data. For example, should I use this as an example? Okay, for example, when we needed to collect the church membership data, right? There are some fields that we give it out there for people to fill. And then we understand that there are some things that people will not fill. For example, date of birth. Many people have different views regarding filling date of birth, right? So they will fill it and not They will pick dates and then month and leave the year. You understand? And that simple act has made the whole of the data unclean. You understand? It has made that data to be unclean. We cannot analyze that data. So those are the headache that a data analyst will now begin to have. You can see this is not even analysis. This is just cleaning the data, making sure that the data is fit for analysis. So from the last analysis we did that I presented in the, during the meeting, right, that we're all there. So these are the major concerns that can give a data analyst, a stretch of night trying to clean. But then a smart one or somebody who has been working with such, such kind of data will actually know what to do. So that's why when we were creating, one of the good things that that was one of the good fields that we have in the form is to have age bracket. Age bracket. So if people will not actually fill the date of birth, there's another field that will ask you what is your age? 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to, if you remember how the church membership form looks like now, that you see that we did that in the form. Also we did that, even though we asked for date of birth, we also released that field where people can now pick their age group. We call it age group, and that's going to help us. So in that case, we can decide if what we want to analyze in that data does not really concern age, I mean the year. We can ignore that column and go and use the alternative. You understand? But the fact that we have places that are not filled is going to affect the data a lot. You understand? So in analyzing data, no, there shouldn't be empty cell. So why this person is trying to, why we are having concern about what would have happened, that people, is it that they don't know their gender? If you are a male, you should know you are a male. If you are a female, you should know you are a female. So why would we have empty, right? Then, so we try to answer it ourselves. Remember I said that you ask yourself question, you answer the question. Look at it. Empty, 4% is empty, right? 4% is empty. Another person or a quack analyst will say, Shebi is 4%. Let's delete the empty, right? Let's delete the empty cell, and then we'll walk away. We'll begin to work with the available data set. But let's assume that this data set is 1,000. As it is now, it is 1,000, right? And 96 is valid. And that 96 that is valid is 958, 958 rows. Now, the empty one is just 4%. It looks small, but in value, the empty one is a whole of 42. So if I'm saying I just want to delete 42, I just want to delete 4%, it means that I'm deleting a whole of 42 rows. 42 rows is too big to what I can just waste. If there are several information embedded in that 42 rows, that is why deleting is not an option that I actually want to look at. Even though I can have a tight situation that will make me resolve to deleting a data set, deleting a row. But I want to ensure that I avoid deleting at all costs. You understand? So what I will do in this regard is to now say, okay, so it is possible, that before this Donald Trump second tenure, right, in America, the whole world seems to adopt whatever thing is tenable in US, right? And then usually we know that people now say that I am not male, I am not female. They want to be identified not by the gender you are seeing that they are. They want to decide what their own gender is by themselves. That's why we'll see people, you see them, they'll say, I'm a cat. You understand? So this kind of person that is a cat, is possible if you give him a form to fill, and gender is having only male and female, it's going to leave that part empty. Unless you are smartly included in that field or in that form that others, gender, male, female, and others. I have filled an international form before that gender has about 10 options. And I'm wondering, 10 options. And even out of the 10 options, there is still one that will still come back to say, prefer not to say. You understand? So these are issues that surfaces in managing data or trying to work with data. So in this case, what will I do? I don't want to delete, right? I don't want to delete. But then I've seen that there are some people that are not male and not female, and I want to respect their opinion as to that, right? I want to expect it, right? Or if I don't want to respect it, For example, if it is Nigeria, where the standard is that you must be either male or female, what I can do easily is to identify those people. If I can identify them and call them and say that you did this, you did it, you did it, go back to the form and go and refill. Then I can go and extract the data again and ensure that it is fit. That is the solution. That is one solution, right? But then that resolution does not look possible at all time, right? Because I can use that resolution if the audience now, the audience that feel that, that are in that data set, I mean, in that data collection, are within my reach. For example, if it is an employee data that all the staff are all around me, right? I can call them to say, okay, call the department head and say this and this happen now, and force them to do that. And that is not even possible if I need to make quick analysis, right? But then if I still have time, I can use that. But if it is a form like a market research, where I have taken, I have taken my form to the market that I don't even know the people there, and they fill the form. You understand? I've collected the form, I've gone to the database to extract what they have filled. I'll have issue. I can't get to these people again. They are gone. So I have to use what can work from my head and ensure that something is done. And that resolution that I'm going to provide must be valid. And I don't want to delete, right? So what I will do instead is now say, okay, all those empty cells, right? I will use something. I will use another thing to denote them. Something like saying others, right? So I will look for all of them. Where are the empty cells? One of the things I actually want us to see also, now we are seeing male and female. By the time you bring your data set into Power BI, you actually cannot see empty cells because Power BI doesn't permit empty cells. I'm trying to see the empties that are here, right? I think 37, row 37 has that empty. Yes, look at this row 37. Can you see? Now, this is the empty, but you are seeing it in Power Query Editor as null. Now, this is a quick note for us. Maybe we need to jot this somewhere. When you import a data set into the Power Query Editor, when you import a data set into the Power Query Editor doesn't like to see empty cell, even though it has acknowledged empty, 4% empty here. Now, that empty cell that is coming from the database as empty, or it's coming from Excel as empty, by the time it comes to Power Query Editor will denote it with null, this null that you are seeing. So anytime you see null spelled like this, small letter all through, and italic, you can see it is italicized, and it is small letter all through. Anytime you see this in Power Query Editor, it means that that cell is empty. That cell in the database or in the Power Query Editor is empty. You understand? So these are the empty cells now. This is actually different from this null that you see here. You can see that this null is capital letter all through. This one shows that somebody actually decided to write null. That they asked what was the department and they write null, which is also a concern by the time we get to this column. Right, Mr. Godwin? I'm with you.
Yes, sir. Please, sorry for the break. So I want to confirm. You said that any null that is spelled small letter and it allows by is there by default under the within this region is there by default. Is that correct, sir?
I'm saying that it is an empty cell from the source.
Okay.
So by the time it to the Power Query Editor will replace the emptiness with null because it doesn't want to see empty cell.
Okay, that's by default. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, by default, yes.
Okay, sir. All right, sir. That's noted. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. So I was saying that there's another null here, but this one, it means that somebody intentionally they ask what's the department and they write null. We're going to come back to that. So all the null that are here now, I want to replace it because I don't want to have null. Null is going to affect my analysis, right? So what I'm going to do is what Pastor actually advised us when we were cleaning this name column. So I'm going to replace data. So I'm going to replace where we have null. I'm going to change it with order. So we'll agree that there are some people that are not male, that are not female. So we'll just leave them to order. So that by the time we're analyzing this data, we'll say that we have this number of male, we'll have this number of female, and we'll have this number of people that they do not specify the agenda. They just fall under others. So I can replace them with others, or I use the word not specified. I did the same thing while analyzing the data, in the church when I was going to present it. So when we're saying that some people, which area? I know there are areas that I replace the word with not specified to say that we now say that this number of people said they are this number of people said they are this, but this percentage of the chart is not specified. We don't know what they actually mean, but we'll leave it like that for them. So to achieve that, I'm going to right click, right? I'm going to right click like we've been right clicking and look for replace. Where is replace? Replace values. Yes, replace values. Right, is on that list. And this is once I click it, it will bring a dialog box for me. Right, I'll be on that. Okay, it has brought it. So it's asking me now value to find. That is, what value should Power Query Editor look for in that column, right? So I'm saying that because I know that empty will not be there, it is null that will be there. So I'll just put in null. So I say find null, and it's asking me what should I replace it with. So I'm going to say replace it with others, right? Replace it with others, and I'm good like this. I'm going to say okay, right? And once that loads, we'll see that the valid has become 100. There is no empty cell again. Let's scroll down. That is row 37, right? Row 37 is one of the example. So you can see that what was null italicized, and on this right hand side are joined the normal absolute numbers. It is now written as orders. So if you scroll down and we'll see another orders, it means that that's an example of what was empty cell before. Can you see? This is another one. So I have cleaned that column like that. So that is a smart way to clean. Remember that I did not delete. I'm trying to work against deleting at all costs. So I'm going to pick the next column now and try to analyze, try to interpret what the person has done here, right? We asked them that what was the department. Many people release their department, and then even though it's showing that null, everything is 100%, but I'm seeing somebody that says that his department is null. And I'm wondering, one of the first things that you do when you release a vacancy, vacancy out there that you want to employ somebody, is that you say that I want to employ somebody into this particular, to fill this particular job position. And that position will always be under a department. You understand? That position will most likely be under department. And what will make somebody say that his department is null is not if you look at onboarding process in any organization, it doesn't actually look possible. You understand? So we're going to see this as an issue, and we're going to find a way to clean it if we can actually clean it. Right? So what can make that happen? So let's think around the box. Maybe the person is just being employed, right? If you see anything that is possible, we'll let it go. Somebody wants to suggest something? Okay, I thought somebody wants to suggest something. Somebody is trying to question.
Yes, there's a question. Actually, I thought of something now. Like this null, we're easily able to find out that okay, there is an error. With that null, that null is not supposed to be there. And if you are treating like maybe 1,000, employees or 1,000 names and all of that, and this null is in between somewhere. So how do you ensure that you remove this kind of errors? Because you may not have all the time to start checking like 1,000 people. So if you have the error somewhere, so how do you ensure that you remove it?
You mean this null or the one we have played?
We're able to know this one because it's on number one. Let's assume maybe we have like 1,000. So maybe this null is at maybe the cell number maybe 500 or something, column 500 or something. So how are we going to treat that?
If it is in the midst of, it is in a lower row, there's absolutely nothing we can do because we can't be checking on after the other. So that is why in this particular data set, I've intentionally brought it to one so that we can see this particular one. But if we find it in the, there's nothing we can do. We'll just analyze it that way. The good thing is that this, if I move, is actually solution. So the good thing is that we are seeing it, and then we can actually know what to do with it. So I'm just trying to analyze what will you can move. So I'm just trying to analyze what will make somebody have null, right, in his department, right? If you don't have anything, we just have, let it fly like that. It's fine that it's not even empty, so it's not even disturbing us, right? We can let it fly. You understand? But now, what will make somebody have null, right? Null. So maybe when he was employed, we advertise a position, right? And after we interviewed him, we find that, oh, this person is actually, maybe we look at his the person's skills. We now find an area that we think the person can actually fit into, right? So we now decide to say, okay, this person will employ you, but you will not be in that department. But we have not really connected him to the department that we want him to be. So if that's a time that that person actually needs to fill this form, we need to generate this data. So the person can actually say that, I have a department because they have not positioned me into any department. So that will be correct. You understand? So that is, yeah, this actually shows that there is a tenable reasons why somebody can say is not, right? And this, for this reason, we'll let it fly. So it means that in the analysis, we have some people who are in engineering department, we have some people who are in business development department, we have people who are in training department, and we also have people who don't even have a department yet. So we'll let it go. You understand? So if you also see it in the midst of, if it is also, if the null is in the midst of, the row, there's nothing we can do as a matter of fact, so we'll let that fly like that. So that is why I'm going to leave this department, the way it is. Thank God the validity is 100%. But this particular one now, this is going to cause question, concern for me. Now let's look at this. We have 94% empty, right? And we don't want to clean, we don't want to delete, right? What can we do? In the case of salary, you cannot assume salary for somebody because salary, the data type is number, right? And number, at the end of the day, there will be a time that we have to sum number together. So there will likely be a question around what is the total salary we are paying at the end of the month. We have gone to assume a salary for this guy. It's going to affect the figure we'll get at the end of the month. But the truth is that it is not also possible for we to have somebody in an organization who doesn't collect salary or who doesn't know the salary is collected. So this salary must be known. So in solution to this is the first thing I suggested, that let's call the person, since we have a name, Abegator. Why is it that we are not paying you in this organization? Why is your salary null?
Sorry, Damilola Ogundare, you can mute yourself, please.
I should be able to even mute her here. Let me check it. Okay, I think she's muted now. All right, she's muted. All right, thank you, Damilola Ogundare. So in the case of salary, don't forget that I already said that we are trying our ability not to delete. You understand? We are trying our ability not to delete. But let's see, will it work? If I now say that, I want to assume that this person collects maybe 50,000 naira. Of course, that assumption cannot work. We have about, this is 4%. 4% means, in this case, means 42 people. The 42 persons collecting 50,000, how can I apportion their salary to them? So it's not possible. If I say I will call them, if I need to analyze this data now, calling them is going to disturb me. You understand? So in this case, it's actually not possible to find a single solution, to clean this particular data, to take this null away. Or if I decide to say that, okay, let me replace this null with unknown. That there are some people that their salary is unknown. Don't forget that unknown is a text, and we are saying that this column should contain information data that the data type is number. So there's no way I can put in unknown. I can type unknown in here. So this column is actually not useful. So in this case, This is a case, a typical example of a case where we'll now say that here we have no choice than to delete row. So this is an example of a time we now say, okay, we have thought about everything, or maybe somebody can still keep thinking about what we can do not to delete the row. If it is valid, we can assess it together and we'll let it fly. We'll do that, what the person will advise. But so for now, as for me, there's nothing really reasonable that we can do, to keep this data here. So it means that we are going to lose about 42 rows in this data set, which is not fine. But then there's nothing we can do, right? Except that we'll now have enough time. And these are the works, these are the difficult tasks that somebody who is a data analyst can now have. Because if you now have more time, it means that the person will now have to connect to all the departments where this person, you have to identify all this person in one sheet, right? And identify their departments and speak to their HODs and say this person does this. So we have to go and regenerate this data set again after they have done the correction. You understand? But in the case where we don't actually have the time, then we have to delete this data set. So each time you delete this particular cell, we should understand that all the row will go. And to do that, it's simple in Power BI. Initially, usually what we'll be doing is to right click on this column A, but to delete row, we'll come to this arrow, this particular arrow that we are seeing, select the arrow, and we'll see remove empty straight away. You can see that null is part of the empty part of the cells that we have. So we just go straight in there and say remove empty. And once we click remove empty, all the empty, we go off. So we are doing that because we actually have no choice as to what we can do. We have thought around every possible thing, and there's nothing we can do. So we have no choice than to go and say, okay, we remove empty. Now, if you look at it, now the validity is now 100. If you look at this location, validity is 100. So now my data set is now clean. I've tried all effort to clean it. Cleaning that we have done here it just looks like what, even with the explanation, we have done it maybe in 30 minutes or 1 hour, right? But cleaning a data set can actually, stop a data analysis process for weeks. Because the meaning is that if I'm not just going to explain that, let's quickly delete this particular difficulty that we have in the case of salary, the actual tenable action to this is to go and look for those people and tell them to fill the correct thing, which is going to take time, right? Because we want to ensure that everything we are doing is 100% is top notch. But then, in the case of this particular example that we are using, we can release this and say, okay, we have cleaned this data. This data is clean. Now that this data is clean, we'll now load it. Don't forget, the process is ETL, extract, transform. We are just done with transforming it. Now, load is the last thing. Then I'll come back here and load it. So once I click load, now the data set will now load. Because I am still working, I'm doing this data set in Excel. So in this particular case, it will load it into Excel, right? If I'm doing this activity in Power BI, it will load it into Power BI, then I'll go ahead to analyze it. Now it has loaded it into my Excel. Now this data is now clean, right? It has returned it to Excel, right? This particular data is clean now, right? There's no issue with it. So that is, situation around how you can clean the data set using the Power Query Editor. One of the things that I need us to remember is that the Power Query Editor, there is no Power Query Editor as in word for word in Excel, right? Where we can see it is to go and get data. So when we go to get data in the data tab, right? Get data in the data tab, it will by itself lead us into the Power Query Editor, and we'll be able to do whatever thing we want to do. Do you have any question at this point? Do you have any question at this point? Okay. If there's no question, let me quickly run through the next thing that the last thing that I want to explain with in Excel, and then before we call it a day, we have just about 30 minutes more, of course, and that is talking about Power Pivot. So there is another functionality in Excel we call the Power Pivot. right? Now the power pivot. Now there's something there's a big concern about power pivot. It is possible that you do not have power pivot on your own system. For example, I used to have it on my system and I've been looking for it, for some days now. I've not seen it. But then let me just lead us to how we can get it. Maybe we will get it in our own system. So I need everybody's attention. Now, Power Pivot is not always on this tab. Let me return to the data tab, the data we are working with, right? All right. So if you look at this tab ribbon, you see that Power Pivot is not there, right? Power Pivot used to be one of the tabs on this ribbon, right? So if it is not there, it means that we have to go and look for it. We have to, this is not all the data tabs, all the tabs that are on Excel. There are more that are not listed here. And we have to go behind to the, into the Excel and go and extract them out, right? I think I started this class by taking us through, some other things like that, right? And to access more data tab, we'll go to file. Look at this little we have file. Come to file. If you click file, it will bring you to this page you are seeing here, right? And then this page has home, new, open, share, info, save as, and many more. If you scroll down to the end, you will see this option that has options, right? You see options. Click the options, right? And it's going to load in a data, a dialog box for you, right? Now, this is the behind the scene of the Excel that you are using, right? This is where you can change something. At this point, you have the power to change some things, right? You can change your default font size. Usually, if I open my own Excel, the font size will be 11 by default, right? I can change it and say that I want my default font size to be maybe 15. This is where I will set it, right? And so many other things. If you have time, you can just come and go through this area of the Excel, right? You will see so many things that you can do. For example, if you just type an information into a particular cell, you now press enter, it will go to the next cell at the front. You can set it that if you press enter, it shouldn't go to the next cell at the front. It should go to the next cell under. You understand? All of those things can be arranged, at this behind the back end of the Excel. But then what I'm interested in doing is to work on the ribbon, is to bring my Power Pivot right into it, right? And I'm going to go to customize ribbon, right? Let me see something here first before we go. Sorry, I'm still with you. I'm just trying to check something. All right. So I'll go to Power Pivot. Oh, sorry. Let me try something. All right. Quick access. Adding. Sorry, I'm still with you. I'm just trying to ensure that. All right. Adding in Excel. Yeah. All right. So don't worry. So let's come to customize ribbon. So usually, if you look at all this area, we should be able to find our Power Pivot, in here because we actually need this. But please check your own, right? Check your customized ribbon. Can you find Power Pivot around this place? Please, if you can see Power Pivot on your own list, please let me know. If you can't find it, we're going to move on.
Yes, I can see mine.
I can't find Power Pivot.
Yes, I can see mine.
So if Power Pivot is on, just check it, right? Check it and come here to say okay. Then it will show on your tab. All right. So who else can see it? Okay. I think we have only one person who can see it, right?
Mine is on the list. It's showing on the list already.
It's showing on the list already.
Yes.
Okay.
No,
All
it's
right.
sorry. It's showing pivot table.
No, pivot table is not power pivot. It's different.
Oh.
All right. So if you can't see it, please, I will prefer to hold on in talking about power pivot now until maybe when I'm starting off, I mean, I can get one or two things, right? But basically, power pivot, what it is used for, let me just tell us on the let me just brief us on what power pivot is used for, right? You remember that I talked about that we can have in one Excel sheet, we can have more than one table, right? And we need to analyze this table together, right? So to analyze the table together, if the table are still standing independently, like this is a table here, this is another table here, we cannot analyze them together. Let's say you want to pick a column in this table and you want to compare it with a column in another table. It's easy for all the one we've been doing because they are all on one same table. So we can compare salesperson with the revenue. But if salesperson is on this table and the revenue, or for example, now we are only seeing revenue, profit is not here. Let's say the profit is another table, and we need to analyze salesperson by profit. You understand? So that means that we need to pick the salesperson on this table and pick profit on another table. These are two different tables. Before that can actually work, before it can give us the right result, right? We need to make sure that there is a relationship between the two tables that we are going to be picking our data sets from. So causing the relationship is what we'll do using the power pivot. So the power pivot is used to establish a relationship between several tables that are not related. You understand? And what we need to understand, I mean, the key things that we need to understand to establish that relationship, right, is trying to look for what is common to both tables. And that thing that is common to both tables is usually in form of a primary key. There's something we call primary key, right? I think this is one of the reasons why I didn't include it in this class, right? Because we're going to focus on this key, right? We'll focus on it more when we get to SQL. We need to understand what all these key are talking about. So maybe I shouldn't even bother here, right? And after we have explained it in SQL and we have explained it in Power BI, we can now return to Excel to now look at it, how it now work on Excel. That will help us better, so that I don't really unnecessarily take our time in it, right? But then just understand that there is something that we still need to talk about, which is talking about how we can establish relationship between two tables that we want to analyze together. So we'll look at it. That's what is done on the Power Pivot, right? So I think we can postpone that to after we have actually talked about some basic things that we're going to mention under SQL and Power BI, which are two courses that will start very soon. All right. Any question from here? I think we can be stopping. We can stop tonight. The class tonight at this point. It seems we are actually faster. I mean, we are ending before the time. If there's no question, then we can begin to call the class a day. But then all right. Someone else say something.
So you said something about portfolio earlier. I don't know, maybe.
Yes, no, it's not for this particular class. It's the last thing after we are done with all the modules that we are looking at.
All right, sir.
All right, thanks, sir. All right, so now finally, I'm going to release a new task. I'm going to release a new task on the group, which is going to be something like an assignment, right? We're not going to look at it on Thursday. We'll look at it on Sunday. We actually use Thursday to start our SQL, right? And I want to, in fact, talking about that before I get into the task, I want to please urge every one of us here, at least every one of us here, to be present on Thursday, because it is on Thursday that we'll have to install the SQL into our system. You understand? So that's the reason why I think everybody should be in the class, so that once I'm saying it, everybody can do it at the same time. We'll download it and we'll install it. Installing it can take time depending on the kind of system that we are using, right? So it means that if we are all here, it may even be that that's what we use the whole of the time to do, right? Because there will be difficulty. I mean, most obviously, so that I can check for every one of us once and for all, and use that time to clean the data, and then be sure that we are good to go. I mean, use that time to install the software, and that we are good to go into SQL. All right. So for the task, right, I'm going to drop the data set, right, into I'll drop the data set into the chat group, and I will list the insights that we should get from it, right? I'll list the insight that we should get from it. Please, I'll or just, even if it looks like we are not getting something, before we bring it in the class and say I didn't get it, let's just try to use other means. I mean, this is we just trying to find solution on our own without relying that that somebody will come and do the solution in the class. So let's just try to look every avenue that are available. Be free to check ChatGPT. Be free to check Google. Just try to put things together, right? It doesn't also guarantee that we'll get at the end of the day, but then we'll have known that we make some effort, right? And that effort is going to make us understand better by the time we are now treating it in the class. So I'm going to drop a task for us in the group, and then that we should work on. The overview is that we're going to create a dashboard using the examples we've done in the class, right? And on Sunday, we're going to look at those dashboards together, right? Before we now move on into other tests that we are doing. All right, thank you, everyone. There's no question from me, or I still want to ask, is there any question? If there's any question, you can ask. And if there's no question, maybe we'll call it a day at this point. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. God bless.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Good
Thank
night.
you, Prof.
Good night,
God bless you.
everyone.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you, sir.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, the sun is outside.